This is the women's 1,500-meter freestyle final, and getting off to an imperious start already is Li Bingjie, 21-year-old Chinese superstar in the pool, and we'll see what kind of time she's looking to take it out in. Li Bingjie took bronze medal behind Katie Ledecky and Simona Quadrello, who holds the FISU record of 15:57.90. She swam 15:45 at the World Aquatics Championships last week to take that bronze. She should go out in under 30 seconds, and she does. 29:45. Li ahead of Kajimoto, with Cesarano of Italy within striking distance as well. But she's already edged out into a decent lead. And what you'll expect to see is swimmers trying to find a pace early on. But it's important not to let the pace or the actions of those around you affect your race plan unless you recognize it's a now or never situation, and that's usually a little later in the race. The very best swimmers, though, don't feel the pressure to go with other swimmers who might take it out harder in the opening part of the race. Instead, they stick doggedly to their plans, swim their own race. Half a second off the pace of Li is Cesarano at the 100 mark. Kajimoto of Italy tucked into third. Well, we have a little battle for the third spot at the moment developing, as Ebiner and van Rensburg are looking to hold on to the pace as well. They're just a little off at the moment, but Li Bingjie of People's Republic of China is controlling the pace in this race, and you can expect her to do that. Maybe a little bit of cat and mouse. Nobody really going out and taking a commanding advantage. You sometimes see swimmers go out quickly, break up the field. Certainly the world and Olympic champion Katie Ledecky of USA. She loves to lead from the front, enjoys going out early, really hard. But this is a good swim from Li. Going alongside her in lane 3 is Cesarano, who's already picked up 2 relay medals, a silver and a bronze for Italy. She won her heat, and she's looking to stick with the swimmer that has superior times in Li Bingjie. Cesarano second, Kajimoto of Japan 1.5 seconds off the pace at the moment. Holub is not quite on the pace she was sitting at during the prelims, when she was able to stick with Li for much of the heat. So she might want to adapt. The mental aspect of the distance racing events is absolutely intriguing. In other events, when things aren't going your way, you can go back to the basics and you can tough it out for another minute or two. But in the distance events, you need to stick it out for the duration of a race. A race like this is nearly 16 minutes for some of these athletes, even longer. And that takes incredible mental character. That's before you begin even looking at the grueling nature of distance swimming that includes distance training. This is a good swim by Cesarano, the 20-year-old from Università Telematica Pegaso. She's sticking with Li Bingjie. Maybe that is her plan. She's got some back-end speed. So within 1500ths of a second of the Chinese swimmer going in 4. Already 2 relay gold medals for Li in the pool. And she might be looking for another in the 4x200-meter freestyle relay event that concludes the session that starts with this women's 1,500-meter freestyle. So potentially 2 gold medals that she could be racing for in this session alone. But the longest event in the pool, 1,500 meters, is now 350 meters in. And Cesarano is sticking to Li. Holub is just up to times a little, and has gone beyond the Japanese swimmer Kajimoto. That's better from Holub. Over the last 100 meters, she's just up to her pace a little. He took this race out in under 30 seconds, 29:45, which is fairly standard for her, and then looks to settle into a tempo at the moment of around 32, 33 seconds per lap. The time might not be as impressive as her time at the World Aquatics Championships. One of the aspects that you need to consider is just the amount of training, of racing that is in the bodies of these athletes. So those doubling up from the World Championships will have had to focus primarily on recovery. And in a sense, they are fortunate that there's not an enormous travel distance, a time difference between Japan, where that hosted the World Aquatics Championships in Fukuoka, and China, where Chengdu 2021 is hosted. But you've got to expect that those swimmers are now trying to hold their taper into the World University Games after the World Aquatics Championships. The distance swimmers still have to keep up that massive volume of trailing while tapering, but they will have reduced the intensity of the work rate that they're doing. Li ahead of Cesarano, with Holub touching 2:27 off the pace through 500 meters. We're a third of the way into this race. It's always intriguing to see how swimmers and their coaches break down races. The race is almost always broken down into smaller chunks by the swimmers and their coaches. Some take the 1,500 meter, break it down into 3 500-meter races. Other times it's 2 750-meter chunks. And there are a handful of swimmers who even like to think of the race as swimming 15 lots of 100-meter freestyle. Not all at 100-meter freestyle pace, it must be said. And certainly had a good rhythm. And there's a good rhythm here for Li and Cesarano. Li now a body length in front, but still within striking distance is Cesarano. Holub has come into her own and is now third. Kajimoto is sitting fourth at the moment, and she's starting to swim 33 high. Li, Cesarano and Holub, the top three. Kajimoto fourth for Japan. A little further down is Ebina of Japan from Rendsburg. Behind her, Ramatelli and Kalandadze off the pace. The Italian in 7 and the American going in 8. Look at the technique as well at the turn. So good from Li. She doesn't take a breath going into the turn or coming out immediately, and that's one of the things that swimmers are often spoken to about, just to see if they take a breath on their last stroke into a turn or on the first stroke out of the turn. Often told that you need to carry momentum around walls, so you shouldn't do the breathing in and around the walls. And Li is so disciplined. Great breathing pattern as well from Li. Every second stroke, breathing to her left. In training, you'll often find swimmers breathing both sides just so that they can keep the body balanced, but when it comes to race time, they will breathe to the side that they prefer. She's changing it up, is Li Bingjie, her breathing pattern. Sometimes breathing every third stroke. But she's got the ability to change gears in the pool as well, unlike some of the other swimmers around her that'll have to rely on their pacing alone, who don't have the ability to change gears so effectively in the pool. So now extending her advantage. Cesarano is fading a little in terms of times, which means Holub is coming into her own. She's swimming consistently in lane 3, and Cesarano is now nearly 2 seconds down on Li, but Holub, importantly, the Portuguese swimmer, is within a second of Cesarano, and the battle for second place is turning out to be a thriller. 2 seconds off third is Kajimoto of Japan, still going in 6th and not out of contention entirely. But Li is controlling matters. Coming up to the wall now at 800 meters. 8:40.14 for Li through 800 meters, and a lead now of over 2 seconds. Steadily increasing her advantage over Cesarano. Holub, though, is maintaining her pace, and that is impressive to see. For that last burst at the end, it's athletes changing from their aerobic system to their anaerobic system and lactic acid production. So pick up the pace so quickly and so suddenly, it's not something that swimmers can do particularly easily. And again, to note on the turn, swimmers not using the underwater in the longer distances in the same way that swimmers use the underwater in the shorter distances, where they push the limit of the allowed 15 meters coming off the wall. Into her stroke quickly. High elbow, low chin. And watch the front hand as well. It stays high and flat in the water. World-class distance swimmers put their hands really high, sits on top of the water. Mihailo Romanchuk, the great Ukrainian swimmer, is a fantastic example. What it does is it keeps the swimmers in a streamlined position. It reduces energy being wasted. And that's ultimately where success in distance races is. That long, slow, metronomic stroke of these swimmers is sight to behold. Those long, languid strokes, so elegant and graceful, but also so streamlined. Li touching at the 950-meter mark. She's coming up to the 1 kilometer mark now in the pool, 1,000 meters, 2/3 of the way through the pool. She went 5:23.91 through 500 meters. So a little slower in the second 500, Li Bingjie, but she is controlling the race, and she is certainly swimming within herself at the moment. She's increased her advantage now over both Cesarano and Hollow by a fair whack. 5:23.91 through the 500-meter mark, through 1,000 meters, 10:50. Kajimoto is struggling to quite get onto the pace of Tamila Holub going in 5, and Noemi Cesarano, who is doggedly holding on. She's 16:15 swimmer at her best, is Cesarano. For Holub, 16:18 swimmer at her best. Li is a 15:45 swimmer at her best. She's got 30 seconds on anybody else in the pool. So she's got the ability to go faster than she is going at the moment. But right now, it's about claiming the medal. It's important to focus on winning the medal. It's not always about times, particularly in the distance races. Now, 400 meters of freestyle to go. And she is the Asian record holder over 400 meters, is Li Bingjie. Another of the athletes who's at that elite level, at world elite level, where the focus is on more than simply training, nutrition, and evolving science. So team nutritionists that'll be keeping up to date with the studies all around them. Gut health is of particular interest at the moment in nutrition, especially with regards to optimizing gut health for athletes. It leads, of course, to optimal immune systems, to reducing inflammation, to disease prevention, which are all beneficial to world-class athletes. And we are watching a world-class athlete here. Li Bingjie of People's Republic of China, coming up toward the 1,200-meter mark. Or 3 400-meter freestyle chunks that she has swum, 13:02.21. Cesarano, 4:20 back. Holub over 6 seconds back. But Holub is just being reeled in by Kajimoto now. Now Kajimoto looks like she's got some kick in her race. She's got a relatively quick last 100 in the distance, Kajimoto. And she is moving beyond Holub. But the focus still very much on Li. So efficient with her strokes and her kick rate. And impressive that she was able to pace herself from the start at a pace that was off her World Championships time. Turns now with 200 meters to go, 14:08.51. What time does she bring it home in? So we're going to see a swim that's over 16 minutes, which is unsurprising given the taxing training in the build-up to the World Athletics Championships, the racing itself at the World Athletics Championships, and indeed racing here, where she's already helped China to relay gold in the women's 4x100 freestyle and in the mixed 4x100 medley relay. And she may have a relay race to come for China this evening. Cesarano is holding on to silver. She is not allowing herself to be caught. Kajimoto is sitting in third. Holub is now 5 seconds off the pace, and she is decelerating badly and unable to keep up the stroke rate. Kajimoto might fancy a crack, though, at second place in the last 100, but taking the bell is Li, significantly in front. It's been a dominant performance in this race. She started by taking the race out in under 30 seconds and then settled into a very fine tempo of under 33 seconds. Li Bingjie, she's got the ability to have that burst at the end and switch from that aerobic system to the anaerobic system. After swimming, there's even splits throughout the race. Watch the battle for second, though. Kajimoto has upped the tempo. Cesarano has tried to up the tempo as well, but Li makes the turn with under 15 meters to go. The battle for second is an enthralling one. Cesarano has been caught by Kajimoto, who first had to reel in Holub of Portugal and now is reeling in the Italian. Can Cesarano hold on in second spot? The FISU record is safe. Simona Quadrella's record will not be broken by Li Bingjie in the pool. But Li Bingjie, with a dominant performance, powers her way to the wall outside of record time, but guaranteeing gold. Watch the silver. It's going to go to Japan. What a swim from Kajimoto in the closing 200. Cesarano of Italy medals. She's on the podium. Holub of Portugal will come home fourth. So technically proficient that she expends far less. This is the medal ceremony for the women's 1,500-meter freestyle. In the women's 1,500-meter freestyle, bronze goes to Noemi Cesarano, who claims her third medal of these games. Kajimoto Ichika of Japan takes silver, but gold, her third at Chengdu 2021, to Li Bingjie